There is a silence at the center of the storm, a quiet, dark place where the universe as we know it is actually born. It is not born in the explosion of stars or the cooling of nebulae, but in the soft, wet darkness of the human skull. Here, encased in bone, sealed away from the light of the sun and the touch of the wind, sits the architect of reality. The brain waits. It listens. It receives the frantic encoded telegraphs of the census of vibration of air against the eardrum, the chemical wash over the tongue, the bombardment of photons striking the retina. But the brain itself sees nothing. It hears nothing. It feels nothing. It sits in the dark and weaves a tapestry out of signals, constructing a hallucination so vivid, so persistent, and so consistent that we call it the world. We walk through our days convinced that we are looking through a clear window, witnessing the world exactly as it is. We believe our eyes are cameras, objective recorders of a stable reality. But there is no window. There is only a painting, endlessly retouched, moment by moment, by an artist who is painting not only with the brush of light, but with the palette of memory. When you look at a tree, you are not seeing the tree in real time. You are seeing a prediction. Your mind, desperate to conserve energy and make sense of the chaos, draws upon every tree you have ever seen, every story you have ever been told about nature, and it anticipates the shape of the leaves before your gaze even settles. You are seeing the past superimposed over the present. The green you perceive is not inherent to the leaf. It is a translation, a specific frequency of light that your biology has agreed to interpret as a color, a sensation that exists nowhere in the universe except within the theater of your own consciousness. This is the fundamental illusion, the belief that perception is passive. We think we are receiving the world, but we are generating it. And because we are the generators, the world we inhabit is inextricably bound to who we are. It is flavored by the chemistry of our blood, the architecture of our neural pathways, and the ghosts that haunt the corridors of our history. Two people standing on the same cliff edge, looking at the same churning gray ocean, are not in the same place. One sees the majestic, rhythmic breathing of the earth, a source of awe and connection that slows the pulse and expands the chest. The other sees a cold, indifferent abyss, a chaotic threat that triggers a cascade of adrenaline and a tightening of the gut. The ocean is the same. The water, the salt, the motion, physically, objectively, they are identical, but the reality is different. The reality is not the water. The reality is the relationship between the observer and the observed. This divergence begins before we even have language to describe it. It begins in the emotional bedrock of our earliest experiences. The mind is not a blank slate. It is a landscape already scarred by rivers of instinct and mountains of genetic predisposition. But as we move through time, we carve new paths. Every joy, every terror, every moment of shame or triumph leaves a residue, a faint tint on the lens through which we view the future. Consider how smell the scent of rain on hot asphalt, or the stale sweetness of old paper can instantly transport you, not just to a memory, but to a state of being. Suddenly, you are not a 40-year-old standing in a library. You are a child, small and vulnerable, feeling the specific texture of a Sunday afternoon loneliness. The perception of the room changes. The shadows seem longer, the silence heavier. The environment has not altered, but your interpretation of it has been hijacked by an echo. We navigate the world using these maps drawn by our past selves. We project our internal state onto the external canvas. When we are in love, the world seems to conspire in our favor. Strangers smile more often. The traffic flows more smoothly. The chaotic noise of the city becomes a symphony of life. The brain, flooded with dopamine and oxytocin, literally filters out the jagged edges of existence. It widens the aperture of attention to let in more light, more connection. We notice the beauty in the mundane because we are primed to find it. Conversely, when we are gripped by fear or depression, the aperture closes. The world creates a tunnel. We develop a hypervigilance for threat. The ambiguous glance of a passerby becomes a glare of judgment. The silence of a friend becomes an indictment. We stop seeing the opportunities and see only the obstacles, not because the opportunities have vanished, but because our perception has been tuned to the frequency of danger. This tuning process is mostly invisible to us. We do not feel ourselves interpreting. We only feel ourselves knowing. This is the danger and the power of perception. It presents its conclusions as facts. When we meet a stranger, we assess them in a fraction of a second. Before they have spoken a word, we have categorized them. We have read the micro-expressions on their face, the posture of their body, the cut of their clothes, and we have compared this data against the vast, messy library of our past encounters and the cultural narratives we have absorbed. If they remind us of a gentle grandfather, we lower our guard. The light in the room seems warmer. If they remind us of a childhood bully, or if they represent a group we have been taught to fear, the walls go up, our heart rate shifts, our tone clips. We create a reality in which they are an adversary, and often, by treating them as such, we provoke the very behavior we anticipated. We manifest the conflict we perceived. This creates a feedback loop, a self-fulfilling prophecy that solidifies our identity. We tell ourselves stories about who we are. I am unlucky. I am unlovable. I am a survivor. I am a fraud. These are not just thoughts. They are structural mandates for perception. The person who believes they are unlucky will walk down a street paved with gold and see only the loose cobblestone that causes them to stumble. They will filter out the luck because it does not fit the pattern. The mind abhors dissonance. It craves consistency. It would rather be right about its misery than wrong in its happiness. So, we edit the footage of our lives. We leave on the cutting room floor all the evidence that contradicts our core beliefs, and we amplify the scenes that confirm them. We build a fortress out of our biases and call it truth. But what happens when the lens is cracked? What happens when trauma shatters the continuity of the narrative? Trauma is not just a bad memory. It is a corruption of the perceptual mechanism. It is a freezing of time. For the traumatized mind, the past is not behind. It is overlaid on the present like a translucent sheet. A loud bang is not a car backfiring. It is a bomb. A raised hand is not a greeting. It is a strike. The nervous system, permanently dialed up to handle a threat that no longer exists, scans the horizon for danger with such intensity that it begins to hallucinate monsters in the shadows. The capacity to play, to rest, to trust, is eroded because perception has become a survival tool, stripping away nuance in favor of binary decisions, friend or foe, safe or unsafe, fight or flight. The world shrinks. The colors desaturate. The complexity of the human experience is sacrificed on the altar of safety. And yet, this malleability of perception is also our salvation. If the world is a construction, it can be reconstructed. If perception is a learned behavior, it can be unlearned. We are not condemned to see the world through the same lens forever. This is the arduous, terrifying work of growth, to realize that the map we are holding is not the territory. It requires a kind of epistemological humility, a willingness to doubt the evidence of our own senses. It asks us to pause in that microscopic gap between the stimulus and the response, to catch the mind in the act of fabrication. When the anger rises, when the fear grips, we must ask, what am I adding to this moment? What am I projecting onto this screen? This inquiry leads us deeper into the labyrinth of the self. We begin to see that our perception is not just a personal matter, but a collective one. We hallucinate together. Culture is a shared perceptual framework, a set of agreed-upon illusions that allow us to cooperate. We see the value of a piece of green paper because we have collectively agreed to perceive it as money. We see the borders of nations on a map, though the earth knows no lines. We see time as a linear progression from 9 to 5 because we have synchronized our internal clocks to the machine of society. These are useful fictions, but they are fictions nonetheless. When we step outside our own culture, we are often disoriented, not just by the language or the food, but by the subtle shift in the perceptual hierarchy. We find that other people pay attention to things we ignore, that they categorize the spectrum of emotion differently, that they experience the passage of time as a circle rather than an arrow. Have you ever stopped to think about how you see the world? I mean, really see it. Not just with your eyes, but with your mind, your heart, your entire being. We often assume that what we perceive is the absolute truth, a direct reflection of reality. But what if I told you that your perception is more like a filter, a unique lens crafted by your culture, your experiences, and your beliefs? Think about it. Two people can look at the exact same painting and see completely different things. One sees a masterpiece of color and emotion. The other sees a jumble of meaningless shapes. They're both looking at the same canvas, but their perception creates two entirely different realities. This isn't just about art. It's about everything. It's about how we view success, failure, relationships, and even ourselves. We rush from one appointment to the next. our lives dictated by the ticking clock. But in other cultures, time is cyclical, abundant, and fluid. The focus isn't on efficiency, but on being present in the moment. Neither view is inherently right or wrong, but they create vastly different life experiences. This is the power of cultural conditioning. It doesn't just influence our thoughts, it constructs the very world we perceive. The same goes for our ideas of beauty, success, and community. We are taught what to strive for, what to admire, and what to fear. These cultural scripts run so deep that we often mistake them for our own personal truths. We think we're making independent choices, but often we're just following a program that was installed long ago. So, the big question is, are we stuck with this programming? Are we destined to live inside a perceptual bubble created by others? Absolutely not. The first step to reclaiming your perception is awareness. It's about learning to watch your own mind, to notice the automatic judgments and assumptions that pop up. When you have a strong reaction to something or someone, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, where is this coming from? Is this truly my own belief, or is it an echo of something I was taught? This simple act of questioning begins to loosen the grip of conditioning. It creates a space between the stimulus and your response, and in that space lies your freedom. Think of yourself as a detective of your own mind. Get curious about your biases. Where did you learn that certain emotions are bad, or that failure is something to be ashamed of? Who taught you what a successful life is supposed to look like? By tracing these beliefs back to their roots, you start to see them for what they are. Not absolute laws of the universe, but inherited ideas. And once you see them as ideas, you realize you have the power to choose different ones. This process of deconditioning can be uncomfortable. It can feel like the ground is shifting beneath your feet. You might start to question things you once held as sacred truths. This is a good sign. It means you're breaking free. You're removing from being a passive recipient of a pre-made reality to an active creator of your own. One of the most powerful ways to expand your perception is to deliberately expose yourself to different perspectives. Travel to a place where life is lived differently. Read books by authors from cultures completely unlike your own. Have deep conversations with people who hold opposing viewpoints, not to argue, but to understand. Each new perspective is like adding a new color to your palette. The world, which once seemed black and white, begins to reveal its infinite shades of nuance and complexity. You start to realize that there isn't one right way to live, but countless beautiful and valid ways of being human. This journey also involves reconnecting with your own inner wisdom, your intuition. For so long, we're taught to trust external authorities, experts, gurus, societal norms. We're told to ignore that quiet little voice inside. Reclaiming your perception means learning to trust yourself again. It means paying attention to your gut feelings, your moments of inspiration, your deep, quiet knowing. Your body is an incredible source of wisdom. How does a certain decision feel in your body? Does it make you feel expansive and light, or contracted and heavy? This is your internal guidance system speaking to you, a system that predates any cultural programming. Learning to listen to it is like finding a compass that always points toward your true north. As you start to shed the layers of conditioning, something magical happens. You begin to see the world with fresh eyes, like a child seeing things for the first time. A simple walk in the park becomes a symphony of sights and sounds. A conversation with a stranger becomes an opportunity for genuine connection. The world doesn't change, but your ability to experience its richness and beauty expands exponentially. You also begin to see yourself more clearly. Without the distorting lens of cultural judgment, you can appreciate your own unique qualities, your strengths, and even your imperfections. You realize you don't need to fit into some predefined mold to be worthy. You are already whole and complete, just as you are. This is the path to true self-acceptance and inner peace. This isn't a one-time fix. It's a lifelong practice of awareness, curiosity, and courage. There will be times when you fall back into old patterns, when the voice of conditioning shouts louder than your own. That's okay. The key is to be gentle with yourself and to just keep coming back to the practice. Every time you choose to question an assumption, every time you choose to listen to your inner voice, you are strengthening your power of perception. You are the artist of your own reality. The world is your canvas, and your perception is your brush. For too long, you may have been painting with colors someone else handed you, following a design someone else drew. But now, you know you can mix your own colors. You can create your own masterpiece. So, I invite you to begin this journey today. Start by paying attention. Notice the stories you tell yourself about the world and about who you are. Question them, get curious, seek out new perspectives, and most importantly, learn to trust the profound wisdom that already exists within you. By reclaiming your perception, you don't just change how you see the world. You change the world you see. You step into your power as the conscious creator of your life. Thank you so much for watching. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. How has cultural conditioning shaped your perception, and what steps are you taking to reclaim it? Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more explorations into consciousness and personal growth. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep creating your reality.